You're not getting it. It's not clocking to you. It's not clocking to you that I'm standing on business, is it?
Today I want to try to answer a question that a lot of people have been asking lately, revolving around the country of Colombia, but more so around cities like Medellín, Colombia, and Cartagena, Colombia. And that question is, many times and very often on social media, I see this question: if they don't want passport bros there, just ban S-work. Or if they made it illegal, then the passport bros and guys wouldn't come there for that. Well, what if I told you that they could ban S-work tomorrow, but legally they won't? And the reason why is not because they can't control it, but because their own legal system has made it almost impossible to eliminate without making things worse. If you have happened to spend any amount of time in Cartagena or Medellín, Colombia within the last 3 years, you will see that S-work is very much so very visible. It is not hidden, it's not underground, it is blatantly there for you to see. Now, this is very confusing for a lot of people because you might be asking yourself, well, if Medellín or Colombia as a whole is trying to modernize itself, they're doing more things to attract tourism, and they're trying to clean up their global image, then why does this still exist so publicly? The answer isn't that simple. And it's definitely not what most people think. Now, my first exposure to this was when I first came here in 2022 with a friend for vacation. Of course, we both didn't do much research on Medellín or Colombia as a whole. We just heard that Medellín was the most popular city. So of course, we booked our tickets and headed here. Of course, not knowing we had to sit through a 4-hour immigration line. And after that, we decided we just wanted to check into our Airbnb and go get something to eat, being that it was around 10 p.m. at night after we got through immigration. So we ate, we started to walk around, trying to familiarize ourselves with the area. And of course, we stumbled across Calle Diaz. So we're walking down Calle Diaz and we see all these girls, and we say to each other, man, the ratio here is crazy, not knowing what these women were. And of course, going down a little bit further, we stumble across the infamous Jettis Park. Now, of course, we're two guys from America. We hear hip hop. We're like, oh, that club is playing our music. Let's go in there. So we go to walk into the club and we see, hey, they're charging women to get in. So, of course, two green, naive guys, not knowing what it is, we're like, man, Colombia is the ish. They charge women to get into the clubs and they letting us in for free. As I said, two new green guys in Medellín for the first time. So, after we get inside the club, we quickly find out that, hey, all of these girls are S workers. And most of the girls that we seen on the street on Calle Diaz were S workers as well, and this 20-to-1 ratio that we're seeing, these are all S workers. So this was my first exposure to it. Let's start off with the foundation. In Colombia, S work isn't illegal. That already separates it from a lot of other countries, but it is not just legal in the casual sense. Colombia follows what is called a regulated tolerance model, meaning the government has made conscious decisions. Instead of banning S-work, they allow it under certain conditions so that they can control it. And this is where things get interesting, because once you allow something legally, you can regulate it, you can monitor it, you can step in when things go wrong. But the second you ban it completely, you lose all visibility, and that's a major risk. The courts framed S-workers as a vulnerable population. And this is key because instead of them saying this is something we need to eliminate, they're saying these are people that we need to protect. But why? Because if you ban prostitution entirely, you don't remove it, you just remove the protections around it. And once that happens, exploitation becomes harder to track, abuse becomes easier to hide, victims are less likely to go to authorities. So, from the court's perspective, a ban could actually make things worse for people involved. This is where your tolerance zones comes in. Think Parque Jettis in Medellín or think Clock Tower in Cartagena. You usually will see this in major cities. The idea isn't to promote prostitution, it's simply to contain it. Keep it in specific areas where it can be monitored, health services can reach people, and law enforcement can step in if needed. Because once it spreads randomly across the city or it goes underground, control disappears, and that's the exact scenario the government is trying to avoid. Colombia makes a very clear distinction between S-work and exploitation. Voluntary prostitution, that's legal, but everything else around it, highly regulated and illegal. Human trafficking, serious felony. Forcing or coercing someone into S-work, illegal. Pimping or profiting off of someone else's prostitution, illegal. For a lot of you guys, you may know or have heard what happened to Chil Capo, the influencer that got deported from Medellín, Colombia recently, involving his promotion of parties that had S-workers present. In this case, Colombia may have been looking at it as he's profiting off of the sex work of others. Now, he may not have been pimping specifically, but if he's making money from it, it may fall underneath this. And then lastly, anything involving minors is aggressively prosecuted. So the system is designed to allow the voluntary part while targeting the abusive parts. And this is another reason why they don't want to ban it completely, because if everything becomes illegal, it becomes much harder to separate victims from the voluntary workers. Let's take a step out of the court system for a second and take a step into reality. In Colombia, there is still significant levels of poverty, and a large portion of the economy is still very informal. And on top of that, you have decades of internal conflict that displaced millions of people. On top of that, just here in Medellín alone, you had 240,278 Venezuelans that migrated to Medellín. Now, let's just say if 1% of that became S-workers, that's still 1,201 women that went into S-work. So when people move into cities with no support system, no stable job, no safety net, they look for whatever options are available. And for some, this becomes one of those main options. So if the government banned prostitution tomorrow, you're not solving the problem, you're just removing one of the ways people survive. Also, as well, I would say that when a lot of these women get used to that type of money, it is extremely hard for them to want to go back to a normal 9-to-5 or a normal job. So in my opinion, I think also this doesn't really help the problem, because there isn't very much motivation to go work a normal job and maybe make $30, $40 a day or whatever it is, versus, hey, I can go to the park and I can make $100 or whatever it is they make. Let's just say in one night, a girl can make $500. That's essentially someone else's monthly salary in one night. All right, so hopefully some of you guys can see the bigger picture here. Colombia isn't just ignoring prostitution as everyone thinks. They've made conscious decisions. Do you ban prostitution completely and push it underground where it becomes more dangerous, or allow it in a controlled way so you can monitor it, regulate it, and protect people who are involved and potentially protect people from exploitation? They chose the second option, not because it's perfect, but because in their view, it is the lesser of two evils. So when people ask, why doesn't Colombia just get rid of prostitution or ban S-work? It's because they can't. That's the simple answer. Without it causing bigger problems legally, economically, and socially. This isn't about morality. This is about what happens if you try to remove something like this that has been in society for so long. All right, guys, so if you could do me a favor and let me know in the comments, what do you think? The system that they have in place is working fine? They should keep everything the same? Or are they normalizing something that shouldn't be normalized? And if they could fix it, what are some different ways that they could improve or make it better? Let me know in the comments. I appreciate you guys watching, and I really hope that this video informed and helps a lot of people understanding the S working situation here in Colombia.